Back-to-back episodes of Friday Night Lights for the NC State Wolfpack. This week, we welcome the Louisville Cardinals to Carter-Finley for a good old-fashioned blackout.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Wolfpack is brought to you by eBay Motors. A championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same goes for your vehicle. So for parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Guaranteed Fit. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Today, we'll be turning the page over to the Louisville Cardinals as we have yet another Friday night matchup here. Kind of bizarre to see not only one Friday night game, but two Friday night games, let alone back-to-back weeks. But we do have Louisville coming to Carter-Finley on Friday. Kenton, here's a pop quiz for you. What are the fans supposed to be wearing for this game on Friday?
I think it's a whiteout similar to Penn State's.
I did hear that. I do think it's a whiteout. Yeah,
it's black. Wear black, folks. Wear it pitch black. Night this complexion, folks. This black. Make it black. For those of you who are not watching along, if you're listening, I just held up my phone, which is black and has a black case on it. Okay, you know what I mean. That's what we got going on. So I don't want anybody saying what it can point to or show that's black. I showed my phone, okay? That's what you need to be wearing. Black out the Carter, folks. This is very simple. We've seen in the past, we've had success against Louisville when we've gone all black. Maybe we could, drum up that magic again. Who knows?
Of course, the last blackout game against Louisville was the Lamar Jackson game all the way back in 2017. One of the craziest atmospheres that many of us have ever experienced in Carter-Finley. So certainly hoping to reignite that heat this coming Friday. Now, getting into a little bit of a season review for Louisville thus far. They are 4-0. I think they've benefited from a favorable schedule so far. Not to say they haven't looked impressive in doing so, but week one, they rattled off a 39-34 shootout against Georgia Tech. Now, of course, on the schedule, it looks like an away game. This was in the Mercedes-Benz Dome where the Falcons play in Atlanta. So not exactly a true road game. Keep that in mind. Week two, they put the beats on Murray State. It was a 56-0 win. That is, very much to be expected there. That's fine. Week three, they beat the Indiana Hoosiers by a score of 21-14. This is another one. It appears on the schedule like an away game. It was not a true away game. This one was in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis where the Colts play. So the two games that Louisville has played hypothetically on the road here have been neutral site. Keep that in mind. And then, of course, last week, week four, just smoked Boston College in Louisville by a score of 56-28. Now, of course, that final score is a little bit misleading. It was 42-14 at half, and then Louisville proceeded to score on the first play of the second half to go up 49-14. So the offense jumps off the page here. We're going to talk about the offense here in a couple minutes, but just some overall synopsis of Louisville here. Of course, they are in year one under Jeff Brom, who was at Purdue for 6 years. They're off to a 4-0 start. I don't think they've been able to do that since the Lamar Jackson years. So experiencing a great start here in 2023. Just glossing over some statistics before we get into the specifics later on here. You'll find them at the top of many categories as far as the ACC statistics go. They're fourth in the ACC in scoring. They average 43 a game. That is impressive, regardless of opponent, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they only give up an average of 19 a game, which is also fourth in the ACC. So, Kenton, what do you make of this? Do you think they're riding a high of maybe some cupcakes, or do you think they could be very for real when they roll into Raleigh on Friday.
This team's for real. You can watch these games and you see the difference in teams that are, how do I put this? There are teams that are just, we're better than a Murray State. We're better than a Indiana, whatever the case may be. And they kind of exert their will in that way. And then there are teams that are like, hey, redacted the scoreboard. We're going to do what we do, how we do it.
Right.
This team is the latter, not the former. This team focuses on the detail. They get the details right in these games. And don't get me wrong. Against Georgia Tech, that was a comeback effort. I watched that game. I picked Georgia Tech to win that game. And Georgia Tech had that thing under control until they petered out down the stretch, which seems to be a recurring theme with Georgia Tech. But this Louisville team, Johar Jordan, Jamari Thrash, and company, that offense, they can go. And they got some guys that, they'll – if I was a defensive coordinator, good for me because I'm bald. I don't have any more hair to lose. But Gibson better use some Rogaine this week because I know a couple of them strands are going to be falling out, thinking about how to stop that duo.
Have to imagine the NC State coaching staff will be putting in the long hours this week to prepare for quite an impressive offensive attack that Louisville will be bringing into town here. We're going to be touching on the Louisville offense in just one moment after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is DoorDash. Do you love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door? With DoorDash grocery delivery, you can stock up for the week or order last-minute cravings conveniently. If you need fresh groceries for the week but don't have time to go to the store, try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it right to your front door. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. So get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at checkout. This is a limited-time offer and terms apply. That's 50% off up to a $20 value and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store today. Enter code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Don't forget, that is Locked On College for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. College football season is here, and this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live each Friday. Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. East on every Locked On College YouTube channel. College Football Kickoff Live will cover playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and go in-depth like only Locked On can. This includes insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You certainly won't want to miss it. Of course, our very own Kenton Gibbs is a part of the national panel, so be sure to check Kenton and the crew every Friday beginning at 11 a.m. on every college YouTube channel. Now, getting into the specifics of Louisville's offense here. Spoke just a couple minutes ago. They have one of the top offenses in the ACC so far. Of course, the season still is young. They've played against some struggling defenses in their first 4 games, but Louisville has looked very good in doing so. I mentioned they average about 43 points a game. Louisville also boasts the top rushing attack in the ACC. This, of course, is led by Johar Jordan. Currently has 478 rush yards, which is averaging 9.6 yards a carry, nearly 10 yards a carry. That will be quite the assignment for Tony Gibson and this defense to try and figure out here on Friday night. But in addition to that, Jordan also has 6 rush touchdowns, and he averages about 120 yards per game. So, Kenton, first assignment here covering the Louisville running attack. What does NC State need to do to be successful against that on Friday night?
Gap discipline.
To put it lightly.
I have said many times, football, especially defense, especially run defense, alignment, assignment. Even if we cannot reestablish the line of scrimmage, Johar Jordan is not the type of back, if you let him get 3-4 yards built up, he's going to run you over. He's going to shake you out your shoes. He's not that type of back. If you're in your gap, we will be just fine. If he can hit a hole untouched, I'm telling you right now, strike up the band, throw the L's up, because Louisville is going to be in the end zone, dancing and playing their fight song. I'm telling you right now, we thought it was bad with Rosas from UConn. We thought it was bad with Estime. He's faster than both of them.
He is.
And it's not particularly close with either. If we give him multiple creases like we have seen at times this year, it's going to be a really long day. And that crowd, the folks in black, will be real quiet. That is something I can guarantee you right now. With all due respect to Joe Jordan, he's good at making people miss in space. I will give him that. He's good at it. That's not what he's amazing at. He's amazing at, we're at the same level. See you later, friend. That's what he's amazing at. So if we stay in front of him, keep him in front of us, if we find ways to make him have to stop his feet, make him have to break his stride, juke somebody, hey, I'm all right with that. If he forces 10, 15 missed tackles, I'm okay with that. But if we have a situation where we allow him to get vertical in a hurry, we're going to have a hard time in terms of getting anything done.
Kenton, you mentioned this a lot here on the show, a guy that if he's even, he's leaving. That is the definition of Jawar Jordan here. So it will be quite the task of this run defense for NC State to keep Jordan in front of them at any and all times, because if he's able to knife through and get to the second and third levels of this defense, you could see birds with teeth, unfortunately, on the sideline here. But not just
Absolutely.
Can Louisville dice you on the ground, they've been dicing folks up through the air as well. Of course, their quarterback is Jack Plummer, of no relation to Jake Plummer, which we have recently discovered. But Jack Plummer...
Yeah.
Jack Plummer previously played for Coach Jeff Brom at Purdue before transferring to Cal in 2022. So effectively, Ben Finley is succeeding Jack Plummer in California now. But Jack Plummer has reunited with Coach Jeff Brom in Louisville, and he's off to a substantial start thus far. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's already crossed the 1,000-yard marker through the air. He's got 1,120 yards through the air, 10 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So he has shown that he will let it fly. But now also touching on his top target, that is Jamari Thrash. And Kenton, you and I discussed him briefly. It was like the first thing we said when we jumped on here. Thrash can absolutely go. He is a transfer wide receiver from Georgia State. He is off to a ridiculous start this year for the Cardinals. He's got 19 catches, 400 yards, and 5 touchdowns already, 21 yards a reception. So Louisville is going to be looking to take the top off of our defense, especially because that is something we've seen some struggles with here in the first 4 games for the Wolfpack. What intrigues you the most about Louisville's passing attack, Kenton?
I think that it is how well can Plummer hold up if there's pressure on him. With all due respect, the 4 teams that they've played so far this season, none of them are all that great at getting home, or he hasn't looked like a superstar against them.
Yeah.
When teams have done a good job of getting pressure against Mr. Plummer, there's been some struggles there. So with that in mind, the question is, are we going to be able to pressure him? And if so, what does that then look like, right? If you talk about Georgia Tech and Murray State, neither one did anything to get home. Boston College, same type of deal. But when you just look at, if you're just going, purely, even if you didn't watch the game and you were going pure box stat watching, you saw multiple sacks, multiple quarterback hits against them against Indiana, and that was by far their lowest output of the season. You look at the other games of the year, they're putting up 50 plus, and yet when they play Indiana only 21. Why? Because they were able to get home and they were gap disciplined. So, the question about Jack Plummer, how well can he hold up against pressure, and how well can we pressure? Those are the 2 questions.
And then, Kenton, give me your thoughts on Jamari Thrash here. I know you had a lot to say about him before we clicked record here.
Oh, that guy can do it. That guy can do it. He's a guy that you look at him and you say, how did he end up at Georgia State? What did they do? What did they entice him with? And he was just badly under-recruited, because this man, he can do it. He can go. He's another one of those guys. If he's even, he's leaving. But on top of that, he's a guy that he does the subtleties of receiver very well. He finds ways to – he's good. When I talk about route running, I'm not talking about, oh, the scheme just keeps me open all the time. I'm talking about the genuine ability to get yourself open and find not only where to sit down in routes, but also how to use defensive backs leverage against them and all that. And also, they've got multiple guys who can find their way open, or who can, if you get them the ball in space, there's going to be a special thing happening there. And so with that in mind, you look at this and you say, the idea here is quite literally be disciplined, be sound, and keep guys in front of us. Make it tough on this offense. Make it tough on them. Because if you give Jordan a lot of space, we've seen it earlier this year. We've seen it multiple times this year. He will do it. If you give Jamari Thrash a lot of space, he will do it. If you give Amari Huggins-Bruce a lot of space, he will do it. If you give them the ability to get behind you, it's over. It's already over with. It's already lost. However, you keep them in front of you, make them make contested catches, make Plummer uncomfortable back there, make these guys have to truly, because I think our defensive backfield in terms of one-on-one man coverage, I'm not talking about, hey, there's a lot of switching going on and assignments and all that. I'm talking one-on-one man coverage, my guy versus your guy. I still have a lot of faith in our defensive backfield. I still have seen them do an excellent job of that. So keep guys in front of you, match routes, and I think we'll be just fine. But Jamari Thrash is a guy, he can go over you, he can go around you, he can do a little bit of everything. And again, this isn't one of those giant receivers like you look at when you think about Florida State and you've got two guys that are 6'4", 6'5". He's 6'1", which is still tall for a receiver, but he's only that $185 that he's listed at. I think that's a little embellished, to say the least. He's a thin, wispy guy, but he's good at making folks miss, and he can fly as well.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit yesterday about both sides of the ball needing more consistency, but especially from our defensive backs. And, Aiden White missed a little bit of time due to some nagging injuries. You certainly hope that Aiden's back to full strength this week against Louisville, because when looking at Jamari Thrash, there's your guy. There's your guy. Yeah. That is the one guy that you cannot let beat us in this game, because if you let him, he absolutely will. Yeah, he will go, like you just said, he will go over the top. He will go around you. He will go through you. Whatever it takes, he can blow past the best of them. So,
and again, he can blow past you, and he's 6'1". This is not a small guy. This is not Huggins-Bruce is, again, listed at 5'11". That's a little generous, but he can do it. He can do it. He's a slot guy. You get him in overspace, he can do all of that, sure. But when you're talking about Thrash, that is a guy, he's got nearly everything. In baseball, he'd be a 5'2" player, as they say. He can do a little bit of everything. And, hey, Coach Gibson, I know you don't do the whole corner follow players around thing. Maybe this week we think about it. Maybe. You know ball more than me. Not saying I know more ball than you, Coach Gibson. I'm not going to tell that lie. But maybe. Just give it a thought. Give it a thought. Just kick the tires on it. See how it goes.
Yeah, Louisville has had a lot of success from other receivers as well, but when you're looking at Jamari Thrash, he is the proverbial card on top of the deck, if you know what I'm saying here. So these are the biggest names to watch in the Louisville offense. A couple of guys that you're going to have to make a concerted effort to shut down to give NC State a shot to pull this thing out at home. But in just a second here, we're going to switch gears and talk about the Louisville defense and how NC State may be able to find some weakness to exploit. Our second sponsor of the day is Jase Medical. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase Case. The Jase Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you peace of mind so you are not just hoping you have access to medication in the middle of an emergency. Jase Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. It's simple, and they handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. So don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off on these life-saving antibiotics today from Jase Medical. Use code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Locked On is LOCKEDON. All right. Now, rounding out this Wednesday Louisville preview with some of their defense. Now, respectfully here, there's not a whole lot that jumps off of the page. I think they've definitely benefited from running up the score on some folks and not needing to play as tight defense as some others, but they do have a couple names here to certainly keep track of. The first one here is Ashton Gelati on the defensive line, He's collected a handful of sacks. He's looked very good pass rushing off of the edge. He can provide potentially a long night for this NC State offensive line if they're not able to contain Gelati.
I 1,000% agree. He was one of the representatives at the ACC Media Days for a reason. He's seen as a leader on this team. He is a guy that is an elder statesman on this team. He's been there for a while, and he's been doing really, really good things there for a while. And let me let you in on the fun fact. He's getting better. The best year in terms of sacks he ever had coming into this year is 6. He has 4 so far through 4 games. We're in danger. No, but very seriously, our tackles have to be prepared. This is a big matchup. That's a young man that's going to be playing on Sundays very soon.
Yeah.
So, everybody's talked about the upside with Belton and the experience with McKay. Now is the moment to show it. Now is the moment to show, hey, we are prepared and we can do this thing at a high level, because this is a big test for them in terms of up front. Now, of course, Grayson stole my guy, but I'm going to have to go with somebody else now. People talked about MJ Griffin in this defense coming in all year. That was the guy, MJ Griffin. He's going to be an amazing safety. He's going to do great. He gets hurt in fall camp. Now, all of a sudden, you're leaning on an unproven transfer in Devin Neal. And you're saying, hey, this guy didn't play a ton at Baylor. What's going on here? And boom, he turns out to be one of your leading tacklers, one of your leading guys in terms of passes defended, one of your leading guys in terms of interceptions. He has stepped up, showed up, and showed out in a way that this defense is needed. And with that being said, he and UNC's transfer, Cam Kelly, have both had their moments where it's like, what were you doing there? But for the most part, Devin Neal has been fantastic. He's a safety that he can do a little bit of everything as well. He's on the shorter side, about 5'11", about 200 pounds. He can do it. He can do a little bit of everything. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. He's a good hitter, good in coverage, always where he's supposed to be for the most part. That's what the tape shows at least. So, he's a guy to watch on this defense as well.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely poses as an interesting matchup for the NC State offense. The Louisville defense here, they have struggled defending the pass so far. In fact, second worst in the ACC in pass yards allowed. So potentially a redemption opportunity for NC State as they struggled against Virginia, who has been quite honestly the worst in defending the pass this year. Defending against the run, Louisville's probably about middle of the pack, I would say. I think the ACC.com statistics had them at about 7. So also a little bit of redemption for the NC State run game. Are we going to be able to get Michael Allen going? Is Kendrick Raphael going to be healthy enough to make a difference in this game? Is Brennan Armstrong going to have to carry 20 times? Certainly hope not, but that could be a factor here. NC State's going to need a lot more consistency, like we mentioned earlier and also yesterday. And I'd like to see NC State go up tempo more often in this game. That feels like time and time again the most effective form of this offense that we have seen so far. If Louisville has struggled this much against the pass and NC State is able to execute while going up tempo, you could see NC State be able to run neck and neck with what has been a dynamic offense for the Cardinals.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you this much. I think that NC State's best bet here, I think that the Pack, if we want to win this game, it's to make their offense less dynamic. That's the deal here.
No doubt.
That's the deal. If we're playing a race to 50, I don't think we win that race. I do not think we win that race, with all due respect. But again, if you make them nickel and dime, be patient, go down the field bit by bit, do it right again and again and again, that's where I think we can truly get something done here in terms of getting a win. Because at the end of the day, you do that and you do what we already do well, which is sustain the drives. Even on, again, we're the league leaders in time of possession, I believe. So with that being said, sustain drives, keep their offense off the field, keep their offense cold, and then when you go out there, again, make them nickel and dime you. Don't give them the big play. Make them take a little bit here, take 5 here, take 6 here, take 4 here, take 3 here, take it. That is how we win this game, in my opinion.
Couple of things here before we wrap our Wednesday episode. We will be having a crossover episode this week. Of course, the last one we had was with Tyler from Locked On Irish a couple weeks ago. We will be joined by Dalton Pence of Locked On Louisville, but this will be on Friday instead of Thursday. So for Thursday's episode, we will be doing Kenton's Keys, our final thoughts for the Louisville matchup on Friday. And then Friday's episode will be the crossover episode with Locked On Louisville. Interested to see what Dalton has to say about this matchup on the road for the Cardinals in a blackout environment. Be sure to check us out both Thursday and Friday. A couple of good episodes coming forward to get you ready for the Louisville game Friday night. As always, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe on this video. Let us know what you think about Louisville coming into town on Friday. Does this offense scare you? It might. It very well could. Let us know what you think about NC State's opportunity to exploit a wishy-washy Louisville defense as well. We will get to all of your comments on Thursday. I guess it'll be Fan Thursday instead of Fan Friday this week. So be sure to get those comments in. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.